We're going to put this 14 bolt out of a 75 Chevy one ton into this 1984 Chevy Blue. Make sure you're on a relatively flat surface. You're not going to have any type of stopping control except for what is stopping the front tires from turning. First step, chuck your front tires, chuck them good. It's the only thing that's going to keep this truck from rolling off. Release your e-brake, double check it's in park. Disconnect your drive shaft. It's only 4 bolts, 1, 2, 3, 4. You take it out, push it to the front of the car, it should drop down. Put your bolts back in so you don't lose them with your caps, assuming you're reusing them, or you can just throw them in the scrap metal bucket. Shocks. Disconnect your shocks from the axle. It's just 1 bolt on each side, very easily done, let them hang. Lift up the back. Make sure your tire is off the ground. Take the wheel off. Take your drum off. What we're doing is reusing the e-brake. There's a rod that comes in from your back and it attaches to an e-brake adjuster, or roughly to the e-brake adjuster right under here. We're going to disconnect that. Just tear it all down. Doesn't matter how you do it, you're not going to reuse it anyways. So bring it all down and I'll show you what to do. Once you get torn down, this is what you want to save. What I like doing is putting a little bit of brake parts cleaner on it, not much. Just a squirt. Lighting it. Then you want to pull on this and push on that while it's still hot, obviously. And it's easier to get out. Now you need to get this e-brake cable out. It's not as difficult as most people let you think. This pin here was rusted, and typically there's a pin here that's pulled out, and then there's like one in the back. All you do is push them in. Like if there was one here, literally you would push it in. You don't break it off, but push them in like the one in the back sticking. Like, let me get this guy. Then you slide it out. Now you get to keep your e-brake. Repeat on the opposite side, and then I'll show you what to do after that. This is where your brakes come in. I disconnected the bracket from the axle. That's a must. I clip the lines. I'll take the connection out whenever the axle's out. It's easier. Yeah, I torch them. Some people use chemicals, whatnot. But definitely disconnect it. And now we're ready to take it out. So here's the fun part. You gotta lift the truck up to where the wheels are way off the bottom, because you have to put jack stands underneath the frame, and you have to lower the jack so that the wheels do not touch the ground, because we have to release our U-bolts. One's already gone over there if it's on camera, but once it's completely relaxed, the tires can't touch the ground. So we're gonna do this very slowly. There's not too much danger. You're not in too much danger, but potentially if these jack stands aren't set right and you're underneath it and it falls, you're dead. This isn't my preferred jack to do this with. and see how the tires touch the ground, we get to try it all over again. Alright, we're going to try this again. It's been lifted higher. Jacks are 1 notch higher, which I believe is all we need. That was too fast for my blood, but like I said, I dislike this jack. And if you notice, this jack stand on the left isn't directly into the frame. It's a little in. For the time being, as you can tell, the wheels are off the ground, a couple inches, maybe 3, which is great. Keep the jack underneath here. When we do the axle swap, it needs to be quick. We're going to take these U-bolts out. There's 8. There's 8 bolts, 4 U-bolts. We're going to disconnect them, and we're going to flip these axles out as quickly as possible. U-bolts are quite possibly the most difficult bolt to get off in the entire vehicle. Impacts don't necessarily always do the job. First thing you want to do is put your rust penetrants on there. I use acetone, ATF. Once again, I got a rust penetrants video. I'm sure y'all are tired of hearing that. But you also want to wire brush off every bit of rust you can get. If you have a sandblaster, use that. And that's assuming you're taking the nuts off. That's one school of thought, so to speak. Another school of thought is to break the nut. You can get nut breakers at your automotive stores. Another school of thought is to use oxygen and acetylene and cut them off. I take them off. The nut typically comes up pretty close to the top, seizes, and then I have to heat it off with MAP gas. That's the other school of thought. I have never used an impact strong enough to get them off all the way if they're this bad. But, you know, do as you want. On these back ones, I typically just take one of these off, loosen one, take the other one off, and then the whole thing will push forward. So, there you go. And actually, you can just loosen 2 of them and push it forward, but that doesn't always work. So, wire brush it if you're taking the nuts off, and I'll show you how it looks here in a few minutes. And this one actually, it's the last one, so I just loosened one nut and it fell right in. So we're good to go. Let me swing the camera around. We'll drop the axle, pull it out the back, push the new one in, bolt her up. Alright, wheels are off, brake line's disconnected, drive shaft's disconnected, U-bolts are disconnected, e-brake's disconnected. Should just slide right out. I forgot to record sliding the new one back under. It's not difficult. Take one tire off, put the jack under the other one, and then you just wedge it under there. 2 people works a lot better, but I don't have 2 people. So once you have those organized, beat down, all that, your plate sits level and it doesn't rock, get your axle lined up. You need the hole on your spring mount to match up with the male end underneath the spring. Sits flat. Doesn't need to be all the way up against one another. Just need to have it so that your U-bolts go up into your plate. Doesn't need to be perfect. You just need a washer and a bolt. Started, and then you can lift the axle out. Okay, so all 4 U-bolts have been started. You want to bring them up slowly and in a specific pattern. Doesn't matter which one you start with. Once you do this one, you go to the opposite one, the cross and back, or in an X pattern. Go nice and slow, don't rush anything. You want to make sure that the part that's supposed to match up on the bottom is matching up. Extremely important. Let me see if I have a deep socket this size. Here's kind of a different angle too. We have to go in a cross pattern, tightening these down. I have the other side down. We got to get them to 150 feet-pounds. That's a lot. So this has a ways to go, obviously. So I'm getting closer to 150 feet-pounds. If you don't have a torque wrench, that is really tight. I mean really tight. There you go. So, don't be shy. So we're mounted to the truck. Now, we gotta put it to the ground. We basically just reversed what we did earlier. We're gonna lift it to where it is off the jack stands. Slide the jack stands out. There we go, that looks good. This is the crucial point. Well, I guess I should say critical. Make sure everybody's standing clear. and make sure it comes down slow and easy. Everything should be fine if you didn't mess with the leaf springs. So there you go, you're mounted. E-brake, brake hydraulics, shocks, and you're good to go. Let me and drive shaft. That'll be in part 2. I'll get some other details for you.